Maybe a good thing. We're ready? Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. We'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin Nation. I would ask everyone now to please stand for the national anthem. Oh, sorry, there we go. Motion moved by Susan Irwin, seconded by Cindy Kelsey, that the agenda for the regular meeting of council of September 23rd, 2025 be approved as amended to suspend the provisions of section 10.4, the procedural bylaw 2023-53, respecting delegations and to permit fourth delegation to be heard. All those in favor? Carried. Oh, sorry, there's more to add to that. And further that 2 additional items be added to section 19, closed session. One is 239-2E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. And 239-2C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. So all those in favor of that whole motion? Carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof by any member of council on any item on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we'll note that in the minutes. The minutes have been corrected under item 16. The third paragraph now reads, Councillor Irwin, Mayor Smith, and Councillor Everett raised concerns instead of Councillor Irwin, Mayor Smith, and Councillor McGregor raised concerns. That's just a notation. Mm-hmm. So our motion is moved by Dan Meek, seconded by Lynn Clegus, that the minutes from the regular council meeting held on September the 9th, 2025 be approved as amended. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, Mayor's Marks, there's a few of them here. We just this afternoon did a flag raising at the beach with Chief Doreen Davis to mark the start of the week of reflection and truth and reconciliation. The Charbonneau-Botchewan flag will remain at half-mast until October 1st, 2025. And on the 30th of September, they will be at the beach for the Every Child Matters afternoon and day. And if people can get down to visit them, they would really enjoy it. Volunteer appreciation was held on Saturday, the 20th, with approximately 80 people attending. Volunteers enjoyed barbecued meals served by council members and were presented with volunteer pins in recognition of their contributions, and a sincere thank you to all of those volunteers. Taylor Blackburn and Joe Connolly represented the township in the District 8 Association Road Supervisors Safety Truck Rodeo on September the 10th. And the township is extremely proud of their efforts because Taylor, who placed first in the district and will now compete in the provincial finals on the 24th of September, and the other fellow placed third, I believe. So this provincial safety truck rodeo is a prestigious competition that highlights the skill and professionalism of Ontario's top municipal equipment operators, challenging contestants with tasks that replicate real-world working conditions. So kudos to those two young fellows. Michael McGovern is going to be including in his presentation to us this last piece that I'll save for when we get to Michael. So that brings us right to delegations. And our first delegation is Steve Reeder, or Originative Energy Solution Partners. OESP is easier to say. Come on up, Steve, right to the, just push the button till the green light comes on.
Got it. Thank you very much. My name is Stephen Reeder. This is Nick DiDomenico. We're both partners in Originative Energy Solutions Partners. Our company is 5 professionals from the energy sector. We've been in the business for between us 150 years plus, giving away our age. We've developed projects in US, Canada. You did some in Europe. Frank did one in India, all over the world. We've done about 4,000 megawatts in Ontario and about 8 to 10,000 megawatts worldwide.
Get the microphone down.
I'm sorry. Is this better?
Yes.
I'm sorry. The project that we're proposing, we're responding to the RFP that the ISO, the Independent Electricity System Operator, has out right now, and they're looking for capacity for the energy market, and they're looking for 600 up to 600 megawatts of capacity. We selected a site on Hinchinbrook Road because it's bisected by, it's a brownfield site for one. It's now a gravel yard, and it's bisected by the high voltage transmission lines. And I'm not sure if you understand this, but your area here with those transmission lines, this is the super highway of electricity for the province, to be honest. Out of all the sites in Ontario, it's the one that can accept the most power. A lot of the facilities can't take that much. We're looking to propose to build a project here somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 megawatts. Where you can bid in tranches. So 50 megawatts, 100 megawatts, 200 megawatts. What we're selected for at WIN, that's another story. But that's what we're looking to build. Once again, we selected the site because it's a brownfield site. It's not pristine farmland. It's for us, it's an ideal site. For most people, it's not. Our ask today, one of the things the ISO is looking for is a municipal support resolution. It sounds more. It sounds a little more. It sounds a little more. Oh, I'm just trying to think of my word.
It's not really a commitment.
It's not really a commitment. If you still have to, by getting the support resolution, all it's saying is that the municipality has passed no bylaws to prevent doing what we're doing. We still have to go through all the regulatory permits, your permits. We have to work with your fire department. We have to consult to the First Nations. We have to go through Conservation Authority. There's nothing that prevents that. I mean, you could stop us anywhere along the line if something is out of order with what we're doing.
Steve, can you tell us what it's going to look like on the land? What are we going to see when we drive by?
Hopefully nothing. What we're planning to do is it will be, the site is about 105 acres. We'll be on about 20 acres of that. So there's a couple different spots that we're looking at, and our final site will be dictated by the environmental permitting process, where it's located on which side of the transmission lines. The one side that is surrounded by trees, and it would be in those trees, so you'd never see it from the road. The other side is where a large pit is, and if we were ending up there, we would do planting along the road. So once again, it shouldn't be seen. There it is. It's up on the map. But it's up, the map's up.
That's Westport Road and Hinchinbrook Road.
Right. So right now, we're looking at, I can pass that along if you'd like. Either side of the transmission line, the one side has trees. Here's the other side of the transmission line.
The transmission lines run north-south, bifurcating the property effectively. It's all been permitted for that extraction. And you can locate either to the, to the east or the west. We'll do the studies and we'll figure out where the best place to put it.
There is a spot there right now with there's a pond you can see on that site. They've extracted a lot of sand and gravel from that area. One of the sites that we're looking at, we'd fill that pond in and build over that. Once again, if we did that, that's the more exposed site from the road. So we'd do planting along the road. We'd work with your city staff to do a landscape plan. If it goes on the other side of the transmission lines, it would be in the open area, hidden by the trees. And you wouldn't see it at all from the road but it depends on the environmental permitting and how close we are to receptors, noise factors, conservation areas. There's a number of factors we get into siting, and it has to be done in the correct location.
Has the pit been decommissioned? I think that's what they happen to do to pits.
Nope.
So it's still an active pit.
It's still active. We haven't taken possession of the site yet. We have an accepted offer on the site. It's conditional on us winning the bid. And then if we win the bid, we would be taking over. We'd be decommissioning the pit. We'd be filling it in. There's also an old mine on the property. We'd fill that in. There's a number of little bits and pieces, and we have to work with the conservation. We find out things every day. Right now, this entire site is permitted to allow them to take gravel from every bit of the site. There's a lot of it in our mind should be deemed as conservation land. There's a creek running through part of it. There's a lot of trees. We'd like to disturb as little as possible. So we'll work with the Conservation Authority and the township to go through all that. And that will determine the final site. It's either, once again, one side or the other of the transmission lines.
Questions or comments from council? Nikki and then Duncan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have questions which would be further along the road if you win the bid and you do start to build. So like what would the noise levels be? What pollution, how would you avoid pollution, and what side effects from putting this type of plant in would be?
The plant that we're proposing is fired on green fuel. So it's supposed to be zero CO2. The NOx will be below provincial standards. The noise, we're required to have it down to 35 decibels at
45 at night.
45 decibels at the nearest receptor's window at night. That's outside his window, not inside. 45 decibels is, if everybody was quiet in this room is noisier than that. Just the white noise in this room is far noisier. So we're required to have it very, very low. Once again, that's part of the permitting process and where it's located. Sometimes you shift it a few hundred feet one way or the other, and that solves the problem. The other is we could put walls up. We could do further insulation around the units themselves to deaden the noise if need be. But those are the requirements.
These units come on trailers. They're portable units. They're typically used as energy supply and emergency situation. So you're looking at the equivalent of 50-foot transport trailers. There's about 3 or 4 of them, depending on particular unit. They come on site. They're literally just plugged together. It's plug and play over the weekend, and you're good to go. They come on obviously on wheels. You take the wheels off and then put the feet on, and it's on compacted soil. So There'd be very little permanent foundations. There'd be a storage tank for liquid fuel, most likely ethanol. Ethanol is available. Havelock, it's available. It's available in Jonestown. It's available in Havelock. And the plant itself would, as capacity, would run in the hottest days of summer and the coldest days of winter. And it would run during emergencies, like if a nuke plant goes down, it's basically there as insurance when something else happens to be able to come up very quickly and keep the lights on.
It's really not that much different than most people in this room might have a generator in their yard. It doesn't run very often. We anticipate this will run 200 to 300 hours a year. So, and we're required to make it available to run Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So it's not required to run at night. It's not required to run on weekends. It's just daytime hours is the only thing this is available for.
Okay, Duncan.
Thank you. So you've explained in a little bit of detail, but that was going to essentially be my question. What are we talking about building here? Is this a battery storage facility? Is this a
No,
is
these
this a
are
power?
aeroderivative gas turbines. This is what you see on the bottom of jets, basically.
And you're trying to produce power.
We're actually generating power, not storing power.
Okay, to augment the load on the system.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, by burning biofuel.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Philip.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the presentation, you talked about long-term employment at the site. So what does that look like if it's not permanently producing power? Then what are you in?
We still have to have people on site.
So how many employees is that?
Probably have 12 to 15 people. These are high-paying jobs. We'd also there'd be a lot of contract people. We have to have people look after landscape, and we have to have the truckers to bring the fuel back and forth. We have to have maintenance people come in. So over and above the permanent staff, we'd have contract staff. Now, also, it depends on how successful we run the bid. If the bid is for 600 megawatts, the other thing is that there are 3 subsequent bids coming in. So if we're successful with the first bid, let's say we win 100 megawatts at this site. The next bid is for 400 megawatts. The one after that's for 300, and then the one after that's for another 300. We could be successful in those and win, let's say, 100 megawatts each. So now all of a sudden, it's a bigger facility. It's still occupying a small piece of this land. And the drawing we have here is for about a 200 megawatt facility. We might only win. That would be the maximum we're bidding. That's the worst case scenario as far as the build out on the site. You know, if we won, we'd have to come back once again for permits and everything else for each individual win, each successive bid that we put in. But we could enhance this site, which would mean more employment. There's employment during construction as well, because there's a lot of civil works that have to go on, and a lot of that can be local. Fencing, civil works, grading. You know, we've got to do some foundation work, tankage, things like that, and a lot of that would be local.
Any more questions, Susan? Then we'll get to the motions. So if I
Correct.
That's correct.
A truck,
Okay,
tanker trucks.
thank you. And my other question. Go. I know you mentioned that there's no CO2.
Right.
Okay, so I just did a brief search on biofuels.
There's a net no zero CO2.
Okay,
So it's not considered carbon emitting because the corn captures the equivalent amount of carbon that is emitted when the fuel is consumed. So it's net zero.
okay. So if you wouldn't just bear with me.
Yeah, sure.
Because there were just a couple of produces nitrogen dioxide.
That's correct.
Okay, and particulate matter that can lead to ozone pollution.
They would all be controlled to provincial specs.
Okay. And volatile organic compounds.
Don't believe there's none.
Okay, all right. As I say, this was
Yeah.
just a quick internet search and artificial intelligence, who knows?
Very clean, and that's one of the reasons it was selected as a fuel. It's an expensive fuel, but because it's only running a couple hundred hours a year, it becomes cheap energy for the system. because they look at the overall cost of everything, and that becomes, even though the fuel's expensive, the development, the equipment itself is cheaper doing it this way than batteries or other types of, and batteries don't do anything to bring energy into the system. They only store energy, and you lose about 20 to 30% when you inject it back in.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we have a motion moved by Bill Everett, seconded by Philip Smith. The council received the presentation from Steve Ritter with Originative Energy Solutions Partners for information. However, that motion, Stephen needs to go away with a pre-engagement confirmation notice to take the next steps in his application. So if people are prepared to do that, we have an amending motion that we need to deal with first. Shall I read it? It is moved by Bill Everett and seconded by Cindy Kelsey that council received the pre-engagement confirmation notice provided by Originative Energy Solutions Partners regarding a proposal to construct and operate a long-term capacity service project located on municipal project land identified as part of Lot 3 and 4, Concession 2, Hinchebrook District. Municipal address is 7349 Hinchebrook Road North. And that we sign the pre-engagement confirmation notice.
We've delivered the notice to you.
Yes.
It actually doesn't need to be signed.
Right, doesn't need.
Oh, okay, all right.
It doesn't need to be signed. We're going to send a copy of that by email, and that's the only thing the ISO needs is just the fact that we gave it to you.
Okay, so
One of these little nitpicky things that
we are voting on the amendment first. All those in favor? Carried. And now on the original motion to receive the information, all those in favor? Carried. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Great. Thank you. If we have more questions, we have your email and we'll send them off to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next, we have David Bates, who is going to talk about canine control bylaw. The microphone's ready to go there, David.
Thank you very much, Mayor Smith, Council. My name is David Bates, and I live on 30 acres of agricultural zoned land at the west end of Babcock Road. I'm a farmer. I have not applied to have my property taxes reduced by 75% like I could because of my sense of civic duty. Okay. I'm here today because I think that there's a difference between the spirit that the canine control bylaw was intended and the written letter of the law, which could be addressed by changing just 3 things in the law itself. And I'd like to read to you now what the law says, what I think the spirit is, and some changes that I think would address that. Okay. Excuse my nervousness.
Just breathe.
I'll relax. Yeah. The first thing, okay, is from Section 5, dog owner obligations. Section 5.3, right now it reads, every person who owns or harbors a dog shall remove any excrement left by the dog anywhere within the township and shall dispose of the same in a sanitary manner. Okay. I believe that to mean that I'm responsible to clean up after my dog on my property. Okay. I think that the spirit that was intended with that bylaw is that we want people to stoop and scoop on township property, and we don't want other people's dogs leaving feces on ours without our permission. Okay. So I would suggest that 5.3 could read, every person who owns or harbors a dog shall remove and sanitarily dispose of any excrement left by the dog anywhere on township property and from any other property that same becomes a nuisance or a sanitary hazard. Okay, because we're interested in the water table and so forth. The next thing that I think could be addressed is Section 10, redemption of an animal. where A says the owner of an animal, impounded for running at large shall be entitled to redeem the animal within 4, and then parentheses 3 days from the time of impoundment. I believe that that could just have the digit 3 there instead, and it would be congruent with the rest of the bylaw, just using a number, and wouldn't contradict itself anymore. Okay. And finally, and this one's a bit of a dog's breakfast,
So to speak.
excuse me. But section 9, animals at large, okay, there's 2 clauses here and then 3 definitions I'm about to read. 9.1, no owner of any animal shall cause or permit an animal to run at large within the limits of the township unless the animal is a working dog or its owner's property, on its owner's property, or under the care and control of its owner. 9.2, every person shall keep control of a dog by keeping a dog on a leash or restraint of a maximum length of 1 meter and ensuring that the dog is always under the control of a capable person. Okay. Now, running at large in the current bylaw is defined as shall mean any animal as defined herein that is found any place other than the premises of the owner and is not under control of any person. The current bylaw defines under the control of a capable person, as opposed to any person, shall mean a dog that is at all times, while the dog is off the owner's property, on a leash and under the care and control, and capable of being physically restrained in such a manner as to prevent the dog from biting or attacking a person or other animal and to prevent contact with people or other animals. Just a little bit more over here. When the dog is off the premises of the owner. And it's a recurring theme. And the last definition, working dog, shall mean any of various breeds of dogs developed and trained to do useful work, such as herding animals or pulling wagons or sleds. Okay. The letter of the law means that my dog, when it's off my property, must be on a leash. It also means that any other dog on my property that isn't my dog must be on a leash. That's the letter of the law here. I think that the spirit is that we don't want dogs on township property unless they're on a leash, and we don't want strangers' dogs on our premises without our permission. Okay? So my suggested changes, 9.1 would read, no owner of any dog shall cause or permit a dog to run at large within the limits of the township unless the animal is a working dog. Okay. 9.2 would read, unless a dog is on the premises with the permission of the owner, with the premises owner's permission, every dog shall be under the control of a capable person. Okay. And then I fiddle a bit with the definitions here. Running at large means any dog that is found any place other than the premises of the owner without the permission of the premises owner and is not under the control of a capable person. Under the control of a capable person becomes, shall mean a dog that is at all times on a leash or restraint with a maximum length of 1 meter under the care and control and capable of being physically restrained in such a manner as to prevent contact with people and other animals. That would include biting and attacking. So I don't say that. And finally, working dog, I believe should say, shall mean any dog doing useful work such as hunting, guarding livestock, herding animals, or pulling wagons or sleds. This is slightly different in that it doesn't define a working dog as a breed that may have been trained to do the thing, but actually a dog that is engaged in the work. Okay. And I've added hunting there because the original bylaw wouldn't let people for example, use dogs to hunt, right, which is traditionally done here.
And you can't keep them on a leash.
No. So with that, I'm finished. Thank you. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We will certainly take these under consideration. We'll pass them over to our bylaw enforcement officer. Any questions or comments for David before he leaves? Okay.
May I make one further comment then before I leave? I spoke with Officer Schwartz and I read her this in between the flag racing and now. And she seems to be in agreement as far as I can tell.
Good. Excellent.
Okay.
Good. All right. I have a motion, and that is moved by Nikki Gowdy, seconded by Duncan McGregor, that council receive the presentation from David Bates regarding the canine control bylaw for information. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you for bringing it forward, David.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Next, we have Tracy Hole and Alaris Kronk, resident District 4. So you're both residents of District 4.
Yes, ma'am.
Alaris, you too?
We have family. I'm currently living in Kingston, but my family lives.
Okay, but you grew up here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Right.
You ready to boogie? Okay. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. I'm Tracy Hole, and with me is Alaris Kronk. And with us too is our working and support group. I live at 2870 Fifth Lake Road in Parham. I'd like to speak to you about this exciting plan for the transformation of the property in Parham where the old Hinchinbrook School is right now. Who are we? We are District 4 Rec Committee Working Group. We are a group of dedicated and engaged, united by a shared commitment to the well-being and growth of our community. With the support of the residents, as you can see behind me, we represent a diverse collective background of experiences, expertise, and driven by a common goal to act in the best interest of our township and to all who call it home. Why are we here today to meet with you? We're here to present to you and support the township with turning this property into a multi-use community recreational site after the old school is torn down, which will support the community and the township with the following: health and wellness, economic benefits, youth development, community connections, promoting the environmental awareness, and offering multiple recreational opportunities for everyone to enjoy. How can we do this? We respectfully request the opportunity to partner with you and the council to achieve this shared goal. We ask for assurances from the council, from the township and the council, that they work actively collaborate with us to ensure that the property becomes a positive asset for both the community and Central Frontenac Township, following the removal of the old school. Why is this location for the multi-use community recreational site a great advantage? This property backs onto the ball field / Parham Fairground right now, which would make it perfect to expand on. It is also centrally located in Parham, situated on a main road, making it easily accessible not only for our residents of Parham, but also for the people of the surrounding community. Those living in the town can even reach this on foot. I'm going to let Alaris take over.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. I just want to personally thank you for having us. I'd like to walk you through some ideas that our group has explored for how the site could serve the community in Greater Township. I just want to mention also that these are the early stage ideas, and we welcome any input from both council and the wider community as we continue to refine and build a shared vision for the site. So if I could, I'm not sure if you have this in your package or not, but I do have copies. But if you want to direct your attention just to the slide that we have posted up there, you'll see that we've categorized several possible uses. These range from profitable essential services to shared spaces for connection and belonging. I won't go through every one. However, I do want to just give some examples. So I'll just highlight a few on there, but I do have copies if anyone would like a copy. So a few of the ideas that we talked about was one was a daycare facility with potentially after school programming aspects and play structures. We discussed the possibility of relocating the library and move it to a more central, accessible location, and pairing that with like a cafe / bakery to serve as a social space or a grab and go if you're on the road. One positive model of that is actually in the little town of Bath. I don't know if you've been there, but there is a little coffee shop in the library, and it's a huge tourist attraction for a lot of people in the bigger cities. We also talked about room rentals for services such as massage therapy, counseling, group programming, tutoring, meeting spaces for local committees and groups. Senior programs and youth drop-in centers. So there was lots of ideas under those specific categories. Community garden plots you can rent, encourage sustainable living and community interaction. You can also partner with the school board and the local summer camps, for education purposes. Space for events like farmers markets, weddings, seasonal festivals, expansion of the fair. So you could actually expand the fair and have different events going on the school property. Indoor and outdoor recreation options, including sports facilities, line dancing, and yoga. Apparently, line dancing is a thing right now. A lot of my clients at my work, they're doing this, and they go around to these little rural towns. So I don't know if anybody line dances. I also like to mention that one thing that makes this space special and meaningful is its history. As a lot of you know, that it used to be a public school, and many people who went there and or worked at that site still live right here in Central Frontenac. Even some in North Frontenac, South Frontenac, but a lot of the folks that went through those doors decided to stick around and contribute to the community. And we thought, how special would that be to breathe new life into that space and that property and turn it back into a place for connection, learning, and support for the alumni. So our ask tonight, Madam Mayor and members of council, is for your commitment to include our dedicated working group in the next steps and planning for the Hinchinbrook property with the goal of creating a multi-purpose recreation and community space that serves all of Central Frontenac. We're excited and ready to bring ideas, energy, and community input. This project is about bringing people together, generating revenue, and creating a shared space, which is essential for the long-term growth and sustainability of our community. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? It sounds like you were taking down the building and you're putting up a new building?
We were just discussing, I think there were lots of rumors or going around, or there was discussion about the possibility of the building being removed. So that would be more of a question for council.
I think that is something that we have been looking at for sure.
It's my understanding that the decision has already been made to have that building removed due to safety. It's just a matter of when.
Well, we've gotten quotes on the cost to have it
Yeah.
removed, and we just wait till we get the money to do it.
Right.
But yeah, that's probably where it's going to end up for sure.
Yes.
But what you're talking then is building a new building to house the
Down the
stuff.
road.
And do you have money?
Well, the purpose of today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, was I? The purpose of today is to really come just with the commitment of working together with council and the township. We have a working group. We formulated, knowing that, there's the opportunity with that property. We also feel that building connection is really crucial for sustainability and growth over time. Like we need to build more things for people to do in the area and bring people together. So when we talk about money to do that, that is the big question. I mean, how do we get money for anything? And that is planning together and coming up with ideas together. And we have very skilled people in our committee, you know, that are willing to grant write, you know, we're willing to fundraise. We can do this in phases. We can prioritize. Like, we're not saying that everything on that sheet is going to be, make sense for that site, but it just shows you the endless opportunities that we could look at and come up with as a team. Yeah.
And our plan is down the road, just to add to Alaris's scenario, the plan is to do what I believe one of the rec communities has already been doing on a phase basis. We're going to slowly build it. We're going to put it together with your guys' consultation and cooperation. We're going to build that area up. We're not going to, tomorrow's not going to happen, but the building has to come down first, no matter what. We thought we would push for a repurposing, but we understand through a lot of consultation with some of the members of the council that the building is beyond that. And there's no way to take advantage of that repurposing, which is too bad.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Nikki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your presentation and thank you for coming. My question is, you have a great list of ideas. Have you done any research and reached out to the people in the area that are already doing this to know how to go about doing it? Like, there's already a daycare in the area. There's already blood donor clinics coming. There's already an adult learning center in the area. Have you spoke to them to see how would they be interested in how it could work together?
The first plan for us is to first get the property. There is no point in us going any further if we don't get the support from the council. Yes, absolutely. After that, yes, we would reach out to those local work groups that are out there, i.e. the community group in Sharpwood Lake, the daycares, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. But we can't go past that point until we get the cooperation of this council and the township on our plan first. So I'm going to say yes and no.
Okay. Any other questions? Duncan?
First of all, thank you everybody for coming tonight. I'd like to see the enthusiasm for, especially in the small towns, for a vision that everyone in the room seems to have for that site and wants to make the village of Parham a better place. So thank you for that. My concern is, and I'm trying to find a way to say this isn't insulting, but there's always really quickly good ways to find ideas for a site. It's very difficult to get something from a wish or a want to actually getting built. I know I went through this recently with the washroom in Sharpwood Lake. It took more than 5 years to get an actual washroom built. So something of this size would take many years. So I'm just not sure how this plan would ever come to fruition unless it came through like an official council committee way. So I'm just not sure. And maybe Kathy, you can explain this. If we were to support some of these ideas or support the idea of having ideas, what's the best avenue we could take so this group could interact with council in an official capacity? So what committee do you recommend, or what structure do you recommend for them to be able to?
They're already part of the rec committee.
They're already part of the Hinchinbrook or District 4 Rec Committee. So that's where they would.
Okay, so it isn't
do that.
You are.
That's what I was just going to come back to, because it's a really great question to ask. But we have a history already within the Parham area with District 4. We've had this committee ongoing for over 10 years. They have successfully fundraised for those 10 years. The Ball Diamond falls under their care and control. They also have the Titchburn Rink under there. They also have assist with the Parham Fair. We run the canteen. Right. So
Yeah. Good.
yeah, right.
They're a committee.
So we have a great resource at our hands to guide us. We have a great council to guide us, especially like Nikki's saying, you know, reach out to here, reach out to there, touch bases with these people to help coordinate. So I think we have a really good solid base. I hope I answered that, because
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't
No,
realize you were already
okay.
working
That's
with District
okay,
4
but-
Rec Committee, so you're getting that information. It has
Yeah.
to happen in that way, because this plan will probably outlive but outlive the term of most of the members of this council,
I
right?
get what you're saying. Yeah.
So it
Maybe
has to have a long-term vision.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, Philip, did you want to say something?
No, I just wanted to thank them for coming as well, and say I'm in support of you guys moving forward and trying to find what possibilities there might be. I am interested in seeing what a long-term plan could look like for the site. Some of the items that were on your list are something that could easily start right away when the building's gone. So I think some kind of, like you mentioned, a phased plan that we can actually look at and say we're in agreement with would help us a lot.
Absolutely. That
And-
works for us.
And in order to get grants, you're going to have that plan, and you're going to need grants because municipally, we don't have money. So it's the taxpayers' money. So
Right.
grants is definitely, if you have good grant writers, get them busy.
And that's the thing that we're going to come back to you guys for the expertise on it, because we understand that the council in past has done the grant request
Oh, no.
scenarios.
We're not good grant writers. But there are people out there that are good grant writers. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to read this motion as soon as I put my glasses on. That is moved by Philip Smith, seconded by Cindy Kelsey, that council received the Hinchinbrook School Property Community Vision Report from Tracy Hole and Alaris Kronk for information. All those in favor? Carried.
I have, maybe it's out of order, but I have a quick question.
Sure.
So one of the things that we were hoping to get is at least, and maybe I'm naive and I missed it, your support going forward.
I think, Tracy, we're going to have to talk about this because we're looking at housing as well. So maybe there's a way to do both on that site. It's a good sized site.
Okay,
So-
because we were under the impression, I spoke to a couple of people off the council that this was off the plate, the housing scenario for that location.
No, it's not. Not at all.
Okay, so because
People-
we
businesses
are going to have,
Need to hire people and they have no place to live. So we need to look at some housing, market rent housing. And there is a possibility that a part of that property might be housing. But the two can go together.
Can I just ask a question with regards to housing? So is there a report, a risk assessment report done for the housing?
No,
Like a due diligence as like,
no, not yet.
okay. Just because I know I was at the previous council meeting when Habitat came and
No, it will not be habitat housing.
it would be the diversity, like
It will
similar to
be
what Corona is
market
doing.
rent housing. Yes.
And where will these individuals be coming from?
I don't know. I would think right here, a lot of people move into our area to work and they have no place to live.
I just want to caution that model.
We've
Okay.
heard your cautions. Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
I think we're dismissed.
Carried. All right, now we have Rhonda Kimberly Young, Railway Society.
It looks like you have my slides, so that's wonderful. Thank you to council for letting me present tonight, and I expect that all of the councillors here saw one of these flyers somewhere around town or in your newspaper. So it's not a big surprise what the Railway Society is working on doing. But I'm here. I did a presentation last week to County Council as well, knowing that the railway park is an important part of the trail network and a nice bonus for all the cyclists and hikers and bikers and ATVers and snowmobilers who use the trails. So I'm coming here partly as a follow-up to that, but had intended to come to council anyway. The timing is a little tight. I'll explain this in my presentation, but we are doing a Rural Ontario Development Grant to try to fund up to 50% of the work that we're trying to do. And that grant must be submitted tomorrow. And it is finished completely, except that if I happen to get a letter of support at the end of the meeting from council, it would be a nice thing to add to that ROD grant proposal that is due tomorrow. So
Kathy
I
has
just-
it ready, just waiting for us to say go.
well, I'll finish my presentation regardless to answer any other questions that might be there. So we're essentially doing three parts of the project. We need to transport a 1922 vintage wooden caboose from Barry's Bay to here. And that is the most expensive part of the project. It's going to cost us over $30,000 to have it moved here. We looked and looked and looked for tenders and companies, and that is the best one we're getting. It's just there are a limited number of companies capable of doing that kind of work and insured to do that kind of work. And so we have multiple bids to put into the grant application, but it's going to cost us over $30,000 for that. Meantime, we had come up with the idea of doing an anniversary mural as well. And we were sort of fundraising for it separately from the big caboose project. But the timing is perfect. Next year's the 150th anniversary of the village. It's the 150th anniversary of the causeway, bringing the first train across. So we have asked Donna LaRocque to sketch out a mural for us. And it's beautiful. And we've approached the North Frontenac Telephone Company about putting it on the red brick building at the top of Matthew Street. And so it's our intention, pending their formal approval of that mural would be finished and ready to go on there next spring. And it would depict the first train coming across the causeway 150 years ago. So it'd be a lovely addition for the village, for the many people who walk around that part of town, who live here all year round and who visit us in the summer months. So we're doing those things, trying to get the caboose here, have a mural done for next summer, and refurbish the caboose, all in recognition of the 150th celebration. We know this is a phased project. It will take us some time to finish the caboose. The outside is decent looking. It's not an eyesore or anything, but we'll want to probably repaint that at some point. And the platforms need to be reinstalled. We believe there's a steel one that can be reinstalled, but we'll have to build a wooden one. So it'll take us a little time to fix up the inside of the caboose. It's empty and would be used as museum space. Can we skip ahead on the slide? Thank you. Oh, you know who we are, so I'm not going to bore you with too many details. We can probably skip ahead. But I did want, in that last picture, I timed that rainbow just for this presentation. So, you know that we've done some things already to the park in the last few years. We've got a good track record of making improvements to the park and keeping it looking good. We've added the stock pen, the smaller size stock pen. We've got Angus the steer in there that we had the naming contest for. We put a selfie stand in there this year that's incredibly popular. We've added a bike rack. We've just put up 2 antique lamp posts you may not have seen yet. They've just gone up in the last week or so. So we've been trying to, maintain and improve the park year to year, and it is very well attended and much enjoyed. It's open, as you know, the caboose on Saturdays, but we've also added more displays that can be seen any time of the year. So we've put the tools on the outside of the tool shed and done a few other things that make it good year round. Can you skip ahead? We think it will have a great impact on the community. A few years ago, a study was done, and we were the second most popular thing around here, behind the beach, but you can't compete with the beach. What are you going to do there? We know how much it's enjoyed by the people who use the trail. It's a great location for the park. It's obviously the historic location, but it also makes it an apt destination now, given how the trails are being used. And aside from the railway history and the museum impact that we have, it's just a nice park. We have lots of picnic tables there. People stop and use it. And we do really want to take this opportunity to thank council for getting us a porta potty this year, which is really a benefit for the people who are using the trails. And whenever any of us are down there working, we see people just stopping, having a bite, looking at something, taking use of the facilities. So it's been very helpful and much appreciated. So this is what we're doing so far in terms of fundraising. We've had this flyer distributed to about 2,200 folks in the area nearby. We've been out at some local events. We've had an article in the news. So we've primarily done it by direct appeal so far. We've reached out to local businesses, individuals, families, service clubs, trail associations. The 2 main service clubs in town, the Lions and the Masons, have already supported us, and several local businesses. We're having a dinner dance coming up in October. And of course, we are doing the ROD grant application. And that grant would normally provide a 35% reimbursement basis. You can ask for an exemption to up to 50% for extenuating circumstances. And we're doing that on the basis of us being a small community with not a huge tax base and not a lot of large scale businesses. So we're hopeful, and we've had someone working closely with the ROD staff who we have a good feeling about the application. It specifically mentions tourist attractions and murals. So we think we picked the right grant as long as the stars align. So we have received donations, and we have the county now as a partner in spirit. We don't have any financial commitment yet from the county there in their process. We did ask them for $10,000. Of course, the question to me was, well, what did you ask your own township for? So we know there is a greater likelihood of getting some funding from the county if it's also supported here at Central Frontenac. We also know local budgets are tight and that the timing is not right, that you could make a commitment even if you could make that commitment at this moment. So if we skip ahead to timeline, our intention, it says fall, but that will actually be after January 1st. The first step is to get the caboose here, and the ROD grant. Now that we've been working at it, we can't get reimbursed for anything we do before January 1st. So we would be looking at moving the caboose after that to align with the grant requirements. Through the fall, or the winter, and the spring, we'll continue our fundraising efforts. The mural should be ready in spring, and our intention is to have an event on May 8th, which is the actual anniversary date. And there would be some kind of unveiling of the mural then. We also hope to have a few other recognition events around that time, including an event at the Causeway. Details to be announced. And then over time, we'd continue to refurbish the caboose interior and make it a museum space. Unlike the existing caboose, which is an old caboose, if you've been in it, it's, set up and it's pretty much a functional caboose, except that the bunks were removed from the back. This will be an empty space, so it'll look like a museum. On the next slide, please. So the direct fundraising appeal, it's good news since I presented last week. I would say now we're at about 9.5 thousand K, so about 9,500 that we've gotten so far in direct fundraising, with the dance coming up next month to raise some more. We have some other ideas as well. In the ROD application, we're asking for about 49,000. And so if we are able to succeed in getting 50% reimbursement, it means we have to come up with about 24,500 to cover the other costs. So what we're asking, we asked County Council for 10,000, and what we would be asking is potentially 5,000 from Central Frontenac Township, if that's something that the township is able to entertain in its next round of budgeting. I believe there are also community improvement grants and their application forms for those. And I think that our president is doing one of those specific to the mural. So I'll just be very upfront. There is an application that's going in for that funding here in the township to cover $3,000 toward the mural. This would be an additional ask beyond that, to the extent that the township is able to support any financial contribution toward the project. And so we know we're not at the right time in the budgeting cycle. We know that you get asked for lots of money by lots of groups. We're hoping that there might be some kind of supportive letter, as well as hopefully some supportive funding as well, to help push us over the edge and finish the goal.
Okay, any questions for Rhonda? We do have a resolution, and this is moved by Duncan McGregor, seconded by Lynn Clegus, that council received the presentation from Rhonda Kimberly Young from the Railway Society for information, and further that council authorized the CAO clerk to write a letter of support for the Railway Society ROD grant application.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And we can consider it in our 2026 budget. Kathy might add that to the letter if that's okay, that it will be considered in our 2026 budget. Philip.
Does it need to be part of the letter for?
It
No.
probably wouldn't hurt.
I don't think, I think most of those, what we've done them before with others, is just you just get a support
Okay,
letter anyway.
Yeah.
No money has been attached to those.
okay.
It's been fine.
The motion doesn't have money attached, so. All right, all those in favor? Carried. All right,
Jody's just getting the letter for me to sign.
now Nikki and I need to push at county to get, now that we've take this.
And I just want to thank you very much for that. The Railway Society really appreciates it.
Good luck with your application.
Want me to do it, CAO, because they had CAO on the
It's
resolution.
got me there.
I know.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's all right. It's all right. She's going to sign it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rhonda. All right, consent agenda, 7 o'clock. Anybody want a quick break? No, not yet. Not for you, Bill. Okay, there's no public meeting. Consent agenda, there's nothing. Central Frontenac Housing, Economic Development, moved by Bill Everett, seconded by Dan Meeks. That council receive items A through D for information as they are considered routine. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. No deferred items. All right, staff reports. Severance review report, and we have Sonia
It's on.
online. Sonia, would you like to skim through your background information? I think we've all read it.
Okay, sure.
maybe-
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to join virtually this evening. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't have a formal presentation. I just wanted to speak briefly to the report, which I'm going to call it the final report that's part of the severance review that both the county and township staff have been working on collaboratively over the course of the summer. I know the last time I was there, we had looked at road access with respect to vacant lots, and our intention was to finish off that vacant land inventory by reviewing a bunch of other criteria. So we did that with our GIS team and removed more lots from that inventory based on the fact of that they were owned by one level of government, conservation authority. They may have been zoned entirely as environmental protection. So there were a lot of other factors. So ultimately, about a third of the lots in the vacant land inventory came off of the inventory once we were done all of that research. We could have, to be honest, I imagine there are probably properties that are partially zoned, something that might limit development, but we felt that at this point there really wasn't much benefit in going further, spending further time and resources on doing the further screening criteria. I think we were very surprised at the number of lots that came off that vacant land inventory. So really the other part of the review, which was really on me to do, which was a review of your existing policies. So that's something that I did at the end of the summer as well. And essentially, the policies that you have in your official plan with respect to severances are quite good. My concerns, which are raised in the report, are just on how a couple of those policies are not, I feel, being adequately implemented at the committee level when consents are being given. So we talked internally as staff and feel that at this point, we're in a position that we would be supportive of an amendment to the official plan to allow a third severance in the rural area. But having flagged those issues with respect to them making sure that there's the lot area, that there's a usable envelope for development, and also the water standards are sort of the two that we see as being important moving forward, regardless of whether the third severance is done or not. But just as part of our overall review, yeah, that was really my message tonight: is looking for direction from council to proceed with that amendment, along with preparing what I referred to in the report as the water supply standards. And these are not going to be overly complicated. Essentially, what it is, we want you to have a standard that works for Central Frontenac, that reflects the Central Frontenac context. And it's there to provide minimum requirements to ensure that people both on what are going to be the proposed lots, as well as existing lots, have a safe and sufficient volume and quality of water to use. So that's sort of the key concern. And it's not uncommon for municipalities to come up with these standards, because right now, unlike wastewater and septic, which is governed by the Ontario Building Code, there aren't sort of one set of rules with respect to how you go about doing water quantity and quality. There are provisions by the province with respect to water, but we also feel that it's not every situation requires like a full hydrogeological study. So the intent behind having a municipal water supply standard is that we're able to tailor what's required of an applicant based on what it is they're proposing and the specific geographic context of where they're located. So for instance, we're doing something similar in North Frontenac right now, which came about because of additional residential units. So we're doing this at the request of originally their CBO and now their council, and looking at water testing requirements based on whether somebody is putting an additional residential unit in an existing house versus building an entirely separate detached additional house on the property with its own well and septic. So we're sort of tailoring what the applicant has to do based on the scale of what they're looking at doing. So we're proposing something similar here in this instance. So at this point, I'm happy to take any questions that members of council might have.
Okay, I'm sure that we do have some. Philip.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple questions. So one is around the date, June 2nd, 2008. What does that date really mean? And what happens if we change it? And the second is around the water supply. So you made reference to South Frontenac in your report.
Mhm.
But does South Frontenac, do they require you to drill the well and have sufficient flow and quality of water for the creation of the lot? And I'll just make a comment about subdivisions I've been involved in where rural subdivisions where the diagrams actually show the building envelope, the spot for the septic, and they did hydro-Gs, but I mean, it was basically the water veins. But I mean, I think this is all good planning to make sure that there are building envelopes. The last bit of a question I did have was around the retained lot. So if there's a retained piece, can those same requirements be applied to the retained piece? So if someone's breaking it into 4 parcels, that's well and good, but if we've done nothing to ensure the retained parcel is buildable and has adequate water, how do we protect that lot?
Sure. All good questions. I'm going to try and remember all of them. I'm going to start with the water ones first. So I don't know the South Frontenac water standards too closely by memory, but they are very similar to the city of Kingston. They do require the drilling of wells, I believe, but I would have to report back to you in terms of exactly what they require. I think it. And again, there are certain provincial standards you have to meet when you're drilling well and you're doing testing for hydrogeology. I wouldn't want to say everybody who is doing a new lot has to drill a well as part of their application, right? I think you need to look at the different situations. So maybe the standard is that you get your conditional approval, and most lots have to drill the well within that 2-year period of fulfilling conditions, right? That I could see that being pretty standard, right? Let's say somebody proposes something that's less than the 2 acres that we've identified as being the best practice and is the standard right now in your zoning bylaw. Let's say somebody is proposing a consent as well as a minor variance to recognize that they're doing a smaller lot. And let's say there are a bunch of other houses nearby and a bunch of other wells. In that instance, maybe we would be asking the applicant to actually do the well testing as part of the application process, as opposed to waiting for conditions, just so that we're not setting them up for failure down the road. And there are different scales. So you could do a full hydrogeological study, but sometimes you might only need a pump test, and sometimes you may need just test neighbors' wells. All the situations are different. Your question about the retained lands is a good one, and that's definitely something I think I need to take away and think about, because I know in general we cannot put conditions on retained lands. I know we've done it with the consent of the property owner or the applicant, but if they did not agree, we could not force them, we could not force conditions on the retained land. So I guess if you're dealing with a situation where you had a large property that had a house on it and they wanted to sever 3 2-acre lots off of it, then what I would say to that is that the property with the existing house and well has to be the retained lands. Right? And then you're applying the conditions to the new lots, right? If it's vacant, I don't know. I think that, again, that's maybe a legal question we have to look at. And I think your other question was with respect to the date in the official plan. So again, that is just a best practice in Ontario right now, is you have a date set in your official plan, and that is what is used, especially when it comes to rural severances. If council wanted to reset that date, then staff would want to rethink the permission for the 3 severances. So I don't think from a staff perspective, we're not willing to support both based on the numbers of what we've seen. But I think, again, it's a best practice to keep the date as is, which is what we're recommending, but to move ahead with a 3rd severance instead of just 2. I think I covered all the questions. I hope I did.
I think you did.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Dan?
Did you give any thought on the time-based reset, Sonia? In my motion that I made earlier in the year.
So that was that the 10 years?
Yes, because I think that would cure a lot of problems for large parcels of land when you're able to sever 3, and then in a time-based reset, you'd be able to do 2 more, which would help people with large families, grandkids, and so on.
I think,
Also, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Also, when you sever the 3rd lot, if I bought 100 acres from Bill, would that be eligible for 3 more lots from the new purchaser?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think, so for the last question, it's the number of severances permitted is not based on owner. It is based on the parcel fabric as it existed on that date that's in the official plan. So that's how we know, that's how we're able to count how many lots people have taken off. With respect to the time-based one, I think, as I mentioned before, that was removed because it's based on how long, the time-based one is based on how long you've owned the property and have basically been a resident of the township, and that was found to be in violation of the Ontario Human Rights Code. So that we cannot bring back.
And how would that be? How would that be a violation?
They thought it was.
Pardon me, because you're basically, like, let's say somebody owns 100 acres. They've already taken a bunch of parcels off. The remnant parcel is 50 acres. And they're allowed to have more because they've been a resident for 10 years or more. If I bought that property from them, and the first year that I lived there, if I was, I'm not eligible for that extra severance because I haven't lived there long enough. And on the human right, for a human, you cannot have different rules for your citizens based on how long they have been a citizen of your municipality.
Okay, so I didn't really understand the last, my first question. If you have 3 severances, I bought 100 acres from Bill, am I eligible for 3 more severances with the new owner?
Land.
It would depend on whether or not Bill had already had his 3 severances. If you bought the 100 acres from Bill and that lot has only ever had, say, 1 severance, you could do 2 more.
Okay, that's what I want.
Okay. That's it.
So when you refer in your recommendation and through the official plan about a rural area, does that also include agricultural land? So is agricultural land lumped in with rural, or is that separate?
Would have to double check, but I don't believe Central Frontenac has any prime agricultural land designated. So I will double check that as part of putting together the amendment. But to my knowledge, Frontenac, so right now, it's not that you don't have agriculture, but the number one criterion to be prime
The
agricultural
soils.
land is the type of soil and the classification of the soil. So you have to have class 1, 2, or 3 soils. We don't have any of those north of, I'm going to say about halfway up the township of South Frontenac.
Yeah.
So just
Can you-
just
have
to
any.
pretense my question for what will come later down the road when we actually make the official decision, I have no concerns with severing off additional severances on vacant land or scrub land. But I do have a little bit of concern with dividing up prime agricultural land. I know it's not prime for all of Ontario, but for
Yep.
our municipality, prime agricultural land I have concerns with. So
Yeah,
that's just
no,
a comment.
and that's fair. So right now, what exists in Ontario and would still apply in this instance is what's called minimum distance separation. So if somebody is going to create a lot and there is and it's particularly tied to livestock, but if there is a barn or any kind of livestock on a nearby property, I think it's within a kilometer, there are calculations that you have to do through a formula that the province has to see how far away from that farming operation you have to be. And that lot has to be have a building envelope on it that meets that separation distance in order for that lot to be approved. So that's something that we already do as part of our screening and review of applications for the Committee of Adjustment.
And Sonia, you are correct. We do not have any agricultural in Central Frontenac. No, there is no agricultural lands.
Class 1.
Class 1, yeah, no.
We have lots of farmers, but their land is a little rough to farm,
And
but
it's
they
not-
do it.
They do.
Dan,
So I guess my next question is, how do we go about dealing with people with large parcels of land? And again, we're talking children and grandchildren down the road, Sonia. And it's just an observation. When you drill a well, they do a pump test and flow test too nowadays, and it's submitted to the government.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. I don't have an easy answer with you with respect to people and their families and how they're doing, planning for their families or even estate planning. We get lots of questions from people about estate planning. It's not that we're not empathetic or sympathetic to that. It's just not a land use planning issue, right? So like I said, that's why we couldn't just say, yeah, sure, go ahead, do 3. We had to take a process of going through this. If somebody has a larger plot of land and they know they're going to want multiple lots in the future for their children and or grandchildren, then the only suggestion that I could give at this point is for them to consider a plan of subdivision process. I know it's a little bit more complicated, but we have done a number of small plans of subdivision in South Frontenac for people that wanted to do more than 3 lots. So there is a process open to them.
And what's the average cost on that?
I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's probably from an application fees perspective, it's probably in the $3,000 or $4,000 mark. I don't know your fee by law off the top of my head. And then of course the cost of any of the studies, surveying and whatnot would be borne by the applicant.
and the other big problem is the time. If you're in is the time to do it. It's a timely process. But okay, Philip.
That was going to be a bit of my question to Sonia, was around subdivisions. If it's a smaller subdivision, does that have any bearing on the studies that are required then for the subdivision application? Like if you're talking about 5 lots versus 25 lots, like your ESA studies and all the studies you have to go through, is there an opportunity for the approval body, which is the county, to say it's really not warranted on a 5 lot subdivision versus a 25 lot subdivision?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, we are completely open to working with people, and that's why we still do a pre-application consultation process. Is we have people come in and we sit down and look at their proposal and come up with a list of what's required to have a complete application, and work with them to scope, the requirements of any studies so that it fits the scale of the proposal.
Okay, one last question and then we're going to call the vote.
Have we talked to any other planners, Kathy, on the motion that I put forward that we talked about? We
I
haven't.
did, but I just sort of put it on hold until that council had decided and wanted Sonia to finish
Right.
the work and see how that goes. So, because as you have to she's got the work done now, and is certainly they are recommending that third severance. So I think that is what council's intention was. So we don't really need to get another planner.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think necessarily, but
I don't
It's up
think
to
you'll ever
council.
get more than 3. Are there any municipalities that do more than 3?
3, Madam Mayor, I don't know off the top of my head. 3 seems to be
that seems to
the standard, at least in our region here in Frontenac. The only one that I know of that gets more is Wolf Island. And that's because they went through the severance review process, and because they're very limited with respect to severances, because most of the island is prime agricultural land, and there are no severances permitted on prime agricultural land. So again, that was a context specific. So, but 3 is the sort of the standard number, and then after that, it kind of bumps you into the plan of subdivision process.
Just the limit of 3 certainly limits the amount of housing you can do in your township and income that we would certainly draw in with more severances.
Okay. I have a motion. It is moved by Susan Irwin, seconded by Nikki Gowdy, that the Council for the Township of Central Frontenac direct staff to prepare water supply standards to be used by applicants proposing to create a new lot on private services, and that the draft water supply standards be presented to council and the public for review and comment prior to being endorsed by council. And that council also directs staff to begin the process of amending the official plan to propose allowing a third severance in the rural area. And that the official plan amendment process run concurrently with the development of the water supply standards. So they're both at the same time. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very
Sonia,
much. You're very welcome. Have a nice evening.
We're hoping the evening is going to end soon, right? Okay, we're moving on to activity reports. And we're got Michael at the end of the table here. Moved by Philip Smith, seconded by Bill Everett. That council received the Central Frontenac Fire Rescue Activity Report prepared by the Manager of Emergency Services,
no.
dated September 23rd, 2025. The chief won't be here tonight.
No, he had, they had an emergency with his wife, so he won't be online as well. So I just hope she gets better. So
Yeah. Any questions or comments on the report? Nikki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It was just a comment, and I didn't want to say it earlier in the mayor's remarks, but I wanted to give kudos to the Arden and Mountain Grove Fire Department for a lovely barbecue a few weeks back. They had a public barbecue and they raffled off Blue Jays tickets, and it was very, very nice. And I just wanted to acknowledge them for what they did.
Good. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, now we have accounts payable. Moved by Lynn, seconded by Susan, that council received the accounts payable report check distribution in the amount of $1,966,072.32 as prepared by the treasurer for information. Discussion, all those in favor? Carried. Let's pay the bills. Apportionment of taxes, moved by Duncan, seconded by Dan. The council approved the following apportionment of assessment as recommended by impact for 2025 as applicable for the following roll numbers, and there's a ton of them there.
I thought you might want to read them, Madam Mayor.
No, I don't. Thank you, Michael. Any question on any of those? You can just ask Michael. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Lynn, seconded by Nikki, that Council of the Township of Central Frontenac approve the following reduction of assessment pursuant to the Municipal Act. Roll number 1039-010-20-10180 for the period of July 30th, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. As reported by impact reason, demolition raised by fire, 357 1DI and roll number 1039-040-020-1900 for the period of November 14th, 2024 to December 31st, 25, as reported by impact reason raised by fire, section 357 1DI and Roll number 1039, 080, 010, 03900 for the period of November 14th, 2024 to December 31st, 2025, as reported by Impact, caused to be liable for the tax rate it was taxed, ceased to be liable for the tax rate it was taxed. And that's 357-1A. And roll number 1039, 080, 040, 1158 for the period of June 26, 2025 to December 31st, 2025, as reported by Impact. Reason raised by fire, 357-1DI. And further, that council approves an adjustment of taxes to be calculated by the tax department for the related periods. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Draft Capital Policy Report, moved by Cindy, seconded by Philip, that council received the draft Tangible Capital Asset, TCA, policy for information, and for that council provide the treasurer with recommendations. Michael.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So firstly, I'll apologize for throwing you off and getting up here when the fire department's report was going on. So this policy obviously is in the report to council that it wasn't updated since 2009 when tangible capital assets came into fruition. So this is an updated policy to the current practices. We started with a policy from PSD and adapted it to what we were doing. It also supports the asset management plan and how we capture the assets. And the only thing that kind of threw me off in consultation with PSD was we actually lowered the dollar value where we capture TCAs to 5,000 for everything, whereas the costs go up. Everything adds up quickly, so it just captures more of our assets, like the computers every 3 years when we have to replace them. And I don't know if I said it, but this is the report that the auditors have been noting on their report every year that they've been looking for the last few years. So just to point that out.
So they'll be very happy about that.
Finally, yes.
Okay. Any questions, Duncan?
Unrelated, but while we have you here, just wondering when the procurement policy is coming back.
Through Madam Mayor to Councillor McGregor, I'm going to be bringing back a new procurement policy. It likely will be in November. So not a whole lot of new changes from the previous one, but there will be some changes.
Good. Okay. All right. All those in favor of this motion? Carried. Now we have motion moved by Susan, seconded by Duncan, that council receive the report for information. That's the website platform required. And that council receive for information the treasurer's report entitled New Website Platform Required. And that council supports the selection of Sandbox Software Solutions as the successful proponent to create a new website for Central Frontenac Township at a cost of $22,157 plus annual hosting cost of $5,700. And that council authorized the treasurer to add the cost to the 2026 budget. And that council authorized the CAO and mayor to enter into a contract for website services with Sandbox Software Solutions to start late 2025 to avoid last minute issues for our residents. So we'll do it towards the end of the year.
And David Millard's on.
Any questions or comments? Duncan.
So I sent you an email earlier, Michael, kind of looking at what's the difference between our website and most of the websites on the market, because that pricing is way higher for both the upfront cost as well as the annual hosting than what I'm used to seeing for a website like ours.
So through Madam Mayor to Councillor McGregor, David Millard's going to answer a lot of the technical questions, but I mean, I don't know technology, right? So Councillor McGregor has more information on that. But in my mind, when I looked at it, we paid it's 22 now versus 17 back in 2017. Take inflation into account, it doesn't seem unreasonable. And when the annual maintenance is the same cost as what we're paying now, that's what I looked at and going, I don't see a concern with it. David Millard did go through, and there was 32 responses to the request for proposal. The one-time implementation costs ranged from a high of 80 to 13,500. The annual hosting ranged from 27,000 to 1,500. So maybe David can answer a little bit more of the technical questions as to how it differs.
David, do you want to comment?
If there's a specific question, certainly.
I guess the question is, do you think this is a good product for the price?
Yes, it's based on WordPress, standardized content management system used throughout the world. included in it is all the security updates, maintenance updates, hosting, everything's all in one tiny package.
Sorry, my exact question was what separates the township website from most of the standard websites operated by businesses?
So I'm not sure what we classify as standard website. So like just a basic e-commerce, is that?
So when you look at a standard website hosting costing less than $1,000 a year, what is unique about our website that we're spending $5,700 a year plus the $22,000 upfront cost?
So the hosting and maintenance are included. So it's complete maintenance as well on the site. So they take care of all the updates for all the themes and the templates as well attached to the site. Additionally, on the implementation fees, there's 25 mandatory requirements that we deemed in the RFP. The primary one obviously is AODA. We have to obviously comply with all AODA standards.
Okay, so what I'd like then, Madam Mayor, to ask for is a deferral until we have our new website committee created and they can provide a recommendation. We don't have, the website's not going end of life until June 30th of 2026. So we have some time here to come up with a really good game plan. I think spending that kind of money is premature at this point.
Okay. Do we need a seconder for deferral?
Yes.
Okay, so deferral was by Duncan, seconded by Dan. All those in favor of deferring? Opposed? It's not deferred. So that was defeated. All right, so a decision needs to be made. All those in favor of the motion as read? Carried. Sorry, Duncan, but we have to get on with this. All right, next is bylaw. Oh, yes.
So I asked Madam Mayor for a favor before this meeting started, and so I'd like to thank her first for allowing me to do this. Susanna Dealman was a municipal employee, an MFOA board member, and later an MFOA staff member. So
What's MFOA?
I wrote that down, Madam Mayor. Municipal Finance Officers Association. She was a very kind-hearted soul, very knowledgeable and dedicated to improving the municipal world. She passed away in 2023 from cancer. An award is given each year in her honor to a person who exemplifies her character and dedication and gives back to the municipal world. I am very humble yet proud to say that I received this award from MFOA this year at the conference. And I had to speak in front of 452 people, and you know how much
You love
that
that.
was.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So just one does said it's pretty cool. So thank you.
And we know that you have a big heart going along with that, because you certainly show it to us all the time, and your patience. And I bet she was a patient, big-hearted person as well.
Very much so. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right.
David doesn't have to say.
Now. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion moved by Dan, seconded by Lynn, that council receive the September 23rd, 2025 bylaw enforcement education activity report is prepared by the bylaw enforcement officer for information. And Nicole is with us. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried.
What did you want to mention?
There you go. That was
Yeah.
really easy. All right.
And Nicole, I also have those copy of what David Bates left as well. Okay.
All right. Next is moved by Bill, seconded by Nikki, that council received the planning activity report dated September 23rd, 2025, is prepared by the Planning Services Assistant for information. Any questions or comments? Abby's on vacation.
Yes.
All those in favor? Carried. September activity report moved by Susan, seconded by Bill, that council received the September 2025 administration activity report as presented by the Chief Administrative Officer Clerk for information. Any questions or comments on that? Another busy month, eh? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Nikki, seconded by Duncan, that council received the Committee of Council titles report for information, and that all committees of council be renamed to incorporate the term advisory in their official titles, and further that standing committees be retitled as standing advisory committees, ad hoc committees be retitled. Isn't it re-entitled? Anyway, retitled as ad hoc adversary committees, and all other committees of council be renamed to reflect their advisory role. Tongue twister. Discussion. Duncan.
So at the last council meeting, I was opposed to renaming the Economic Development Committee an advisory committee, and I was concerned about how work gets done within the municipality. And so I've rethought that, and through conversations with some other councillors, I don't think it's the word advisory that's the issue. I think that we need to make it more clear the policies and procedures and the delegated authority to each committee. So I think it's unreasonable at this point to say that all committees are advisory only, because that's just not the reality. So we have a Central Frontenac Rec Committee, for example, that runs a 3-pitch league in the summer. We don't expect them to come to council for all those decisions, right? And so the policies need to outline what money can be spent at which level, what authorities can happen at each committee level, because it's not fair to just say we're advisory and that's a one-size-fits-all answer. So how do we incorporate that into our existing committee policy?
The only delegated authority you have is your budget. To spend your budget that is approved by council. Otherwise, you don't have authority.
And that there lies the issue. So when you are working primarily with volunteers, you're making them jump through a bunch of hoops to do basic everyday things. So if the rink needs to get Zambonied, somebody's not going to wait 6 weeks, 2 months to go to a council meeting to ask permission to volunteer.
That's not.
Sorry, but there are things that have to be decided at this table that committees don't have the responsibility that we do. Liability, we think when we are approached, one of our thoughts is liability insurance. Is everybody covered? How are they doing it? Are they being safe? So it's good to be an advisory committee. You don't have that liability that we as a council have and are protected with our insurance company for the decisions we make. Bill.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think there might be a bit of confusion too, using your example of 3-pitch. Central Frontenac Rec Committee has nothing to do with 3-pitch. No, the 4 subcommittees in a meeting have brought it up, but it is their money. It is their decision to do 3-pitch. We cannot tell them to or not to. Okay, and so go ahead.
Sorry, but that's not entirely true. The funds are in the Central Frontenac Rec coffers. So it's run. The chair of District 4, Bob Teal, runs the league, but he's doing it on behalf of Central Frontenac.
Yeah, but that's what they said. That the Madam Mayor said that money's already been delegated
within his budget, right?
Central Frontenac.
Central Frontenac.
Yeah.
That was where that's where I was taking offense. It's run through Central Frontenac. It's not run through the districts.
I agree, but that money's already been delegated. The committees that advise are asking, essentially, they're asking for more money. And that's where the advisory part comes in.
Agreed. I just
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Duncan?
So a little bit of a redirect here. I fully appreciate what you're saying about liability, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. It can't be the Wild West, right? But it's not clear the way the policy is written that it's only financial decisions, right? So under this kind of pretense, like we're talking, if you wanted to run a 3-pitch league, but no money's involved, but there's huge amounts of liability, it would suggest you don't have to come because it was already budgeted for. And I don't think that's fair. So all I'm saying is we need to have clear policies that say what committees can and can't do. So maybe it's as simple as at the beginning of every year that all the committees come forward and say, these are the activities we'd like to take on, right? Or is this okay by council? It just needs to be a more streamlined process. And I'm just saying the policy needs to be rewritten to support what the spirit of what we're trying to say is.
Kathy's saying, let's think about it, but I think for now
With staff, and
we're going to
look at this
rename
stuff.
things advisory. And if we choose to change that, then we could do that. But I think most of us are welcoming advisory. Philip?
thank you, Madam Mayor. But I don't disagree with Councilor McGregor, because Although I agree with the term advisory, these committees need to be able to do the work too, because we've said all the time that, you know, we need the volunteers to do the work because we can't afford to do the work without the volunteers. So there needs to be some explanation somewhere that you're advisory in nature towards, just as we've said, in regards to liability and any capital projects. Council needs to approve all of those things. But when it comes to your day-to-day operations, like we do with the rec committees, the district rec committees are able to run their canteens, run their thing, you know, through their own funds. We're not looking to step in and take control of those. But if they're adding new capital, that's where my mind goes to. If they're adding new capital, where now the municipality as a whole is now liable for a new building that they've built.
So maybe it's a matter of making a list of what you can do and what you need to get council approval for. Would that simplify it?
Yeah, so I'd like to do that through an amendment and just say that council submit comments to the CAO and that we relook at the
You
committee
can submit
policy.
comments anytime.
No, but I just want to make sure it's official that we are going to relook at this policy, so it doesn't get forgotten about.
Well, for now, we're going to change it if this motion goes through, because that's what the motion reads. Do you want me to read it again?
No, I'm just looking to add an amendment to it that says, and that the CAO accept comments and that we review the current committee policy.
Then you need to make that motion. Have you got?
That's what I'm trying.
A separate motion.
Okay, so do we have a seconder for that?
Under here. Yeah.
Philip. So Duncan, I'm writing on the side of my agenda and it's going to make no sense tomorrow.
Then I can,
And Philip.
yeah.
Okay, because we have to vote on that one first before we go
Well,
back
yes,
to this
that's
one.
right, because that's a change in the.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to clarify, so we're going to vote on adding a change to or a look at changing or straightening out the procedure or policy, and then we're going to vote on changing the name. So they're two separate things.
I think Duncan's,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I needed to hear. Thank
Yeah.
you very, very, very much.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm trying to do. I want to submit comments.
You know what? You could just do it without a motion if you trust that you can talk to the CAO and have her investigate it, but
You can defer it if you wish. Defer that
You can
and
do
get
that.
comments.
It's easier, like I'd like this brought back before the end of the year because we're changing this advisory. I'd like to just review the
so
policy.
then you should do a motion to defer.
Yes, just defer this motion.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a deferral moved by Duncan, seconded by Philip to defer this, and we'll come back. All those in favor of deferral?
Yeah.
See, when it gets late, everybody agrees. Carried. All right. Moved by Philip, seconded by Cindy. Whereas the municipality purchased the former Simonet building from W.A. Robinson Holding Inc. in June 2025 and subsequently relocated municipal offices to the new building on July 14th, 2025. And whereas the CAO clerk is recommending that council consider hosting an open house in October 2025 to formally introduce the new municipal facility to the public. And whereas it's proposed that the invitations be extended to residents, neighboring township representatives, legal counsel, contractors, and any other relevant stakeholders as outlined in this report. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that council approve the recommendation of the CAO clerk to host an open house for the new municipal building. Discussion. Philip.
Sorry, I'm the mover or the seconder. I would rather not be.
Oh, okay. You're the mover, not the seconder, right?
Whichever I am.
Okay, so who will move this? Lynn? All right. Discussion. Nikki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Do the staff have a proposed date?
I was thinking somewhere around that third week in October. That's a good date, sort of like there's a Monday, Tuesday. It's offset from when we have council. So that's, I think it's the 21st or something. I think it's whatever the Monday and the Tuesday.
The non-council week.
Yes. Yeah, 21st.
Through Madam Mayor, if it was the third Tuesday of the month, there's a potential conflict with another board.
Well, we could do it on the Monday.
For the public, it's not really. Sorry, it's council really doesn't have to be here. The staff are going to be doing this, right?
No, but I think you should be here as
I should be here,
saying
but
a few
I'm
words.
probably
But I
in a
think it
meeting.
might be nice for some council to be here, at least for a little while, and let's pick a time, whether you want to go from 4 to 6, only that little
4 to
short
6 would
period.
work.
Yeah,
4 to 6 would work.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried.
So we'll do the Monday?
Sure.
Does that seem to be the best? Okay,
Another Monday.
perfect.
All right. Committee and other reports. Moved by. Oh, sorry. Septic reinspection, recruitment of. Here we go. Moved by Bill, seconded by Duncan. The council accept and approve the terms of reference as submitted by the septic reinspection committee. Any discussion? Susan?
I thought that at the septic reinspection committee meeting, we approved the change of name to Septic Reinspection Advisory Committee.
Yes, we did.
Pardon me?
This is certainly to bring forth to council that was your recommendation to go ahead and change it.
Okay.
So
You can always change it back if the advisory gets dropped. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Moved by Susan, seconded by Cindy. Whereas Jim McIntosh has resigned from the Septic Reinspection Committee, and whereas the committee composition requires a minimum of 3 public members, now therefore it be it resolved that council authorize staff to initiate the recruitment process to fill the vacancy on the Septic Reinspection Committee. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, moved by Cindy, seconded by Philip. That council accept and approve the terms of reference as submitted by the Central Frontenac Housing Committee. Any discussion on that one? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Nikki, seconded by Dan. That the ad hoc website advisory committee be comprised of how many members of council and up to how many members of the public? I have no numbers here to speak to. And that somebody be appointed as a council member for the said committee. So how many members should we have? I'd say 2, 3.
I think 2 members of council and up to 4 members of the public.
4. Okay, so 4 of the public.
2 and 4. Okay.
Oh, sorry, 2 members of council and 4 members of the public. And who are the 2 councillors to be appointed? Duncan?
No, I don't want to be on the committee.
You don't.
I'm not a good representative.
Fine.
I have too much technical knowledge and it'll just interfere. I think it needs to be people who face challenges with the website and in the correct demographic.
I'll be on that committee.
Yeah, there you go.
I have problems with that. I will gladly be on that committee, but I'm ex officio, so there needs to be 2 members.
Yeah.
Bill? Okay. And 1 more. Susan. Okay, so Bill and Susan, and I will be checking out. Yes, okay. So the motion is that the ad hoc website advisory committee be comprised of 2 members of council and up to 4 members of the public, and that Bill and Susan be appointed as the council members of the said committee. And further, that council authorize staff to commence the recruitment process for community members of the ad hoc website advisory committee. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Philip, seconded by Cindy, that blank be appointed as the 2nd member of council on the Heritage Committee. And further, that council authorize staff to begin recruitment of community members for said committee. Who wants to be the 2nd person of council on the Heritage Committee?
Who wants to work with me? Nobody jumped up.
Okay, Nikki does. There you go. All right. All those in favor? Carried. Communications correspondence for action, none. Bylaw agreements, none. Notice of motions, none. Giving notice of motion, none. New or other business? Resolved into closed session. Moved by Dan, seconded by Susan. That council resolve into closed session pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act to discuss personal matters about 1, 239(2)B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. 2, 239(2)E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. And 3, 239(2)C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. All those in favor? Carry.